Have you ever felt like the world was spinning too fast, and no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't catch up? Like maybe there's something hidden just beneath the surface that could change everything if only you had the courage to look closer? Well, what happens when someone does take that leap and uncovers a truth they never saw coming? Before we dive into this story, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from right now? Are you curled up on your couch in Texas, scrolling through your phone in London, or maybe sipping coffee somewhere cozy in Sydney? Let us know in the comments below. It helps us understand how far our stories travel. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button before we begin because it means so much. You're amazing for being here. And trust me, this story is exactly for people like you, thoughtful, curious souls who care about what really matters. Let's dive in. Drew Harper wasn't one to shy away from challenges. As the owner of Smoothie Haven, a chain of health-focused smoothie shops spread across 3 states, he prided himself on building an empire rooted in wellness and community. But lately things fell off. Drew noticed small cracks forming, complaints trickling in about rude staff members, inconsistent service quality, even whispers of employees cutting corners with ingredients. He couldn't ignore it anymore. So, he decided to do something drastic, something risky but necessary. Disguised as a middle-aged man with glasses and a baseball cap pulled low over his forehead, Drew walked into his own store located in a bustling strip mall outside Denver. His heart pounded with every step, not out of fear of being recognized, but because he didn't know what he'd find. Would his team live up to the values he'd worked so hard to instill? Or would he discover something darker lurking behind the scenes? The shop buzzed with activity. Customers shuffled around, some chatting animatedly while others scrolled on their phones. Drew approached the counter, ordered a mango pineapple blend, and waited patiently. That's when he heard it, the hushed voices of 2 employees whispering near the back fridge. Their words were sharp, biting, and carried a weight that made Drew freeze mid-bite of the free sample cookie he'd been offered. "You think he actually cares?" muttered Mia, a young woman with streaky blonde hair tied back in a messy bun. She leaned against the counter, her eyes darting toward the closed office door at the rear of the shop. All these big speeches about community and quality. Yeah, right. I bet he doesn't even know half our names. Beside her stood Leo, a lanky guy in his early 20s wearing a faded band tee under his apron. He shrugged, popping a stray blueberry into his mouth. Doesn't matter anyway. We're just numbers to him. You see how many new stores he opens each year? He probably hasn't stepped foot in here since opening day. Drew's stomach churned. Was this really how his employees felt? Had he become nothing more than a distant figurehead, someone whose ideals sounded good on paper but meant little in practice? He wanted to march over, rip off his disguise, and tell them everything, that he cared deeply, that he stayed awake nights thinking about ways to improve their work environment. But instead, he forced himself to stay quiet. This wasn't just about him. It was about understanding their pain points, their fears, their unspoken frustrations. As the conversation continued, Drew learned things he wished he hadn't. Mia talked about struggling to make ends meet despite working full-time, explaining how she often skipped meals to save money. Leo mentioned feeling stuck in a dead-end job, unsure if he'd ever escape the cycle of minimum-wage gigs. Both painted a picture of exhaustion, not just physical but emotional, and Drew realized he'd failed them in more ways than one. Pausing briefly, Drew thoughtfully considered the audience listening to this tale. Do you ever feel unseen, unheard, or undervalued? If you do, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters, and hearing from all of you reminds me why telling stories like this is so important. Back inside the shop, Drew finished his drink and left without saying a word. But once outside, he couldn't shake the heaviness weighing on his chest. What had gone wrong? When did his dream business turn into a source of resentment for those working tirelessly to keep it running? Determined to fix things, Drew spent the next few days visiting other locations undercover, gathering insights and learning firsthand what his employees faced daily. One particularly poignant moment came during a visit to a suburban outlet. There, he met Clara, a single mother juggling shifts between Smoothie Haven and another part-time gig. Her hands moved deftly as she blended drinks, but her face told a different story, one of weariness and determination. When Drew asked casually how she managed it all, Clara hesitated before replying softly, "I'm doing this for my daughter. Every extra hour counts, but sometimes it feels like no one notices." Her words struck a nerve. Drew knew then that fixing his company wouldn't be easy, It required more than just policy changes or pep talks. It demanded empathy, genuine connection, and action. Inspired by Clara's resilience, Drew returned to headquarters with a plan. He called a meeting with his management team, sharing everything he'd witnessed and urging them to prioritize employee well-being above profits. Together, they implemented initiatives such as flexible scheduling, mental health resources, and regular check-ins to ensure everyone felt valued. Months later, Drew revisited the original store where Mia and Leo worked. This time, he entered not as a stranger, but as himself. Standing before his staff, he apologized sincerely for past oversights and promised better days ahead. To his relief, many, including Mia and Leo, expressed gratitude for the recent improvements. They still had concerns, sure, but there was hope now, a shared belief that together, they could build something stronger. Reflecting on the journey, Drew understood that leadership wasn't just about setting goals or making decisions. It was about listening, truly listening, to those around you. By stepping outside his comfort zone and confronting uncomfortable truths, he'd transformed not only his business, but also his perspective on life. And so, dear listener, I leave you with this question. How often do you pause to consider the impact of your actions or inactions on others? Whether you're a leader, a friend, or simply someone trying to navigate this complex world, remember that compassion can spark incredible change. Share your thoughts with me. I'd love to hear them. And wherever you are, thank you for joining me today. Keep shining, keep growing, and most importantly, keep caring. Until next time, bye.